commenting or doing an analysis of an article in the Economist, and this is the latest issue, April 3rd to April 9th of the Economist. The cover here is what has gone wrong with the jab and the vaccine. I will talk about an article here by Bartleby, Their Finest Hours. People need to work, but not all week. Where you have a calendar, so that one we'll talk about. And again, I will check out here if live streaming is working and is linked together with Facebook, and it's not. So I definitely have to talk to Pablo here at HAPS and talk to him. Something with the linkage here. So I will check here my YouTube channel. Again, great live streaming, looking down at my iPad Air, but now you can see an Econetcast podcast here. So see if it's working. It's okay. I'll see here. WorkLife at the Economist. So it seems to be working here. So it's working. I see it's on YouTube. So there I could get some live feed. So I say cheers again and good morning if you're in Europe. Drinking Ceylon black tea from Sri Lanka. So, and it's streaming through Twitter, and it's going also to Twitch, where I have a site or page. I'm not an active gamer, but it's interesting to see this platform also. And when it's working, Facebook Live, and as I said, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook Live, and then it's ending up here on YouTube also. It's YouTube Live here, and then you could watch it in replay. And maybe in the future LinkedIn, we'll see about that. And it's now saying 3 minutes, no 0 viewers right now, no dollar or coins, HAPS coins yet, and connection is great, now it's good. And I could start out saying what HAPS is. HAPS offers a free world-class broadcasting tools, a community eager to collaborate, and a simple way to viewers to support creators financially. So if you use my link here, haps.tv/invite/@lyceum. Then you will get 100 free coins that you could share to other content creators like myself, or undersigned if you want. And now I see it's 1 viewer here, so thanks for viewing this. So, and this is written on note cards by model 1927 in Sweden. A great paper quality and nice to write on. And I used this kind of pen here from Pilot. And I'll come back to that writing. I do that when I'm preparing this show. I write as a new media advisor using technology, digital media, computers, phones, what's that. I like to write things down on a paper, on a note card. It's a certain feeling to thinking on paper. So in this time I used Statler Norris 120 pen, this black and yellow pen that I got from Nero's Notes in the UK. Pack of, I think it was 10 to 12 different pencils. It's a certain feeling to write on paper like this, a note card. So these are my notes here. And I'm doing this challenge, 90 days notes. It's already ended. It was end of last quarter. I didn't went it through, but I want to do this, and my goal here is to do it realistic also. So every other day I will write a note and I will put it on Instagram. That's my plan. So on Thursday here, I'm now recording a HABs, and on Saturday and on Tuesday. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday I will write a note to myself and put it on Instagram. It could be more often also. And I have a plan for this called BNP, the method there, or a work toolbox, and then a method called LIFT, and that's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. So I will try to have it, as I often say, short and sweet. Often it could be that I'm rambling on and babbling, and this topic I could talk for a long time. Because the article here is saying that I did a study, and that was at Cambridge University, Center for Business Research, and they came up to that it was enough, so to speak, for the employee to work only one day, so to speak, or 8 hours. And then you were so-called fulfilled. And you could see where is the money coming into play. If you work 8 hours a week, what kind of pay will you get? And talking about that as a freelancer in the gig economy, and it's supply and demand, and the market conditions there, compared to if you're an employee at a company with so-called minimum wage and others and the unions, etc., etc. It's one thing. And I'm working every day, but I have a flexible time, so I could work in order to get the output, so input and output. But I work every day on the net, like doing new media activities. So this article, doing this research, that, as I said, after one day or 8 hours you are fulfilled, and now with layoffs and others on decreased of time at office, then of course it could be a different pattern of work-life and work-life balance, so to speak. And but you could also ask your question, if you're employed, if it's fun only once a month on the so-called 25th. In other countries is every 2 weeks you get paid, and sometimes it's earlier than 25th, sometimes later, but around the end of the month you get paid for the work that you have done, or for in advance for next month. So that's the thing here. So I wonder how they come up with its results, and it will be interesting to have a sort of kind of debate about this, and also discourse and discussion and continue conversation, because as I wrote, it's not the hours input is not equal the output. So you don't have to work 8 hours per day or 40 hours per week. You have this, for 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, and 8 hours of play and other things, and eating and exercising and reading, personal development, etc. And again, it's the output, and be flexible. So I wrote here also timekeeper. You have to have one over your shoulder watching you, or like you have this almost this kind of cards, timekeeper or time watch, punching in. It's one thing if you're at a factory and you have to see that people are at the line, that's one thing. But otherwise, maybe you should be flexible on when you are at the office, or how many hours you work. And it's interesting how this will pan out in the future, when you are working from home or not at the office, or in commuting and in different ways. So that's probably why this article was coming up with this research and the change of the work environment. Again, the gig economy, see how that will work out in the future also and develop over time. And as a freelancer, when you work in projects. And if you're working on websites and others that are 24/7, not sleeping, so to speak, or taking breaks or holidays, how could you do that in a flexible way? So it'd be funny, maybe I will do a shout out to Tim Ferriss or Tim Ferriss. He wrote a book called The 8-Hour Work Week, and that stirred up a bit of conversation, debates and discussions. If it's only like if you're a freelancer or gig in the gig economy or a solopreneur or a small business owners, you often work more than 8 hours per day or 8 hours per week and 40 hours per week. But you have fun also, hopefully. But what Tim Ferriss was talking about, or Tim Ferriss, was how you could do the division of labor and handing out or delegating things, and you could concentrate on your core business. And I've met some interesting individuals there in this realm, in this area, how, for example, as me, as a new media advisor, could help organizations, businesses and companies and personal brands focus on their core business, and you could help them with other things, and they will get the output and the result. So that's something to think about. So Bartleby's article was their finest hour. Maybe it's a reference to war. And people need to work, but not all week. And as I said, I work every day and all week, but you should also have breaks and time off for yourself, your ego time or self time. Writing things down on a paper, doing introspection and so on, and drinking some tea. Cheers. So it will be interesting what you say about that. How many works, I put this on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. And I asked, how many hours per day do you work? And how many hours per week do you work? And do you find time for other things also? They talked about this in the article about Goldman Sachs and this investment banking workplace, and the new employees that were starting working there, they worked not 40 hours per week or more than the double, and how they felt burned out and harassed and other things like that. But they also said that it was only, I think, 13 that have done this survey or told about the working conditions, and then you could wonder if that's statistical, that you could do any, thoughts about that. Of course, thoughts you could have, but what's the result? And people maybe that haven't a good environment maybe seek out to voice and say something about it. But in certain industry, I could imagine that in the bank industry, in others, it have been a prestige also to sit at the office and late hours and so on. And that's something to reflect on. So we could continue the conversation later on, and this was the Economist, the article here by Bartleby, The Finest Hours, and the latest issue of The Economist. So with that, I say cheerio and talk to you soon again, and I will write down for tomorrow and for next week my weekly planning and my system here, and where you have to do on the other side. So we'll talk more about this, how to do your weekly planning, weekly review, and also find the white spaces for your pebbles. You have the sand, you have the stones, and if depending on what order, that's this fable or story, depending on how you put the big rocks and the sand, do you have space for your pebbles, for your passion projects and other things like that. So on Saturday I will celebrate the good life, and you could also give me some tips and tricks and suggestions. How do you keep yourself awake when you're doing the all-nighter or burning the night, or how to say, night candle, something like that? Do you drink tea? Cheers. Coffee, energy drinks, or some other things. And I've tested some products during the years. One of my favorite is yerba mate. That's popular in certain South American countries, and development of that in a product called yerba mate or Unimate from a company called Unicity. So I'm looking for a similar product or something that giving that nice energy for over a long time, not the energy drinks that going up and then going down. So yerba mate has these components and ingredients, and it's pretty interesting how you could get a longer kick or for a long time, and that could be a thing also when you need to work for long hours. Of course, rest, sleep, exercise, and good diet and what you put in will get your output also. But interesting to see if you have any life hacks regarding working long hours or doing special project or timeline. Bartleby wrote about that also, the author, and I will see if I could find out the name and his handle, nickname, pen name you could say. He said, or she woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning and wrote that article. And that's, I know as a blogger and others, it could take time to write an article, and it was a fine article, interesting to read. And I will talk about probably on Saturday at the obituary of Stephen Spurrier, an Englishman in Paris, and it's a wine sommelier and taster. I haven't heard about them, but it's very interesting to read this article. So I, as an ending, I often go up or wake up at 6 a.m. That's my alarm clock, but I don't have to be at the office at 8 a.m. But I start working. But I'm trying to not checking emails the first thing I'm doing in the morning or other things like that. I start out with this morning routine called Lifesavers: silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, and that could be during the day someday or in the evening, reading, and there I have The Economist, and then the scribble or writing something down. So with that I say cheerio and talk to you soon again.